The political storm inside the Trinamool Congress appears to have reached a decisive stage. What began as internal dissatisfaction after the party's crushing defeat in the 2026 West Bengal Assembly elections has now escalated into a full-blown battle being fought simultaneously in the courts, within the party organization, all the way from the assembly to the corridors of power in New Delhi, and we're talking about the parliament. The biggest flashpoint came from Delhi, where nearly 20 Trinamool Congress Lok Sabha MPs have moved towards formalizing a split in the party's parliamentary wing. Sources indicate that the rebel MPs are seeking to cross the crucial two-thirds anti-defection threshold and have initiated steps to establish themselves as a separate bloc in Parliament. Sources say the MPs have conveyed that while they are not joining the BJP, they are prepared to align themselves with the NDA as a separate Trinamool faction. The group is also backing senior MP Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar for a key leadership role, a move that would significantly weaken Abhishek Banerjee's grip over the parliamentary party. At the same time, Mamata Banerjee, accompanied by Abhishek Banerjee and Derek O'Brien, arrived in Delhi to attend the India bloc meeting, but political observers believe the visit is much more than opposition unity. It is also being seen as a crucial effort by Mamata Banerjee to assess the extent of the rebellion. The crisis has also reached the judiciary. The pro-Mamata camp has approached the Calcutta High Court, challenging the Speaker's decision to recognize rebel leaders Ritabrata Banerjee as the leader of the opposition in the West Bengal Assembly, while TMC loyalists argue that constitutional and parliamentary norms were ignored. The Speaker maintains that the party's expulsion of Ritabrata itself did not follow due process. The roots of this rebellion lie in the Assembly election defeat that ended 15 years of uninterrupted TMC rule in Bengal. Since then, allegations of forged signatures, open defiance by MLAs, mass absenteeism at party meetings, and a dramatic split in the legislative wing have exposed deep fractures within the party. The numbers tell the story. In the assembly, the rebel camp now commands the support of 58 of the party's 80 MLAs. In the Lok Sabha, around 20 of the party's 28 MPs are said to be part of the emerging rebel bloc. Even in the Rajya Sabha, where the party remains relatively stable, signs of unease are becoming increasingly visible. Is this a point of no turn for TMC? What does this mean for Mamata Banerjee? What does this mean for the opposition, for the India bloc that has attempted to send a message of unity? I'm being joined by Subir Bhomik, who's an author and senior journalist, Joy Malik, who's a spokesperson with BJP, Nirmala Mukherjee, senior journalist, also joins us. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining me. Well, Joy Malik, let's just start with you straight, because what seems to be very interesting is initially when we had the BJP spokesperson on this show, they said we are not very interested in having TMC MLAs on board. We are not interested in anybody linked to TMC. Why should we have them? We have the numbers. This is not about numbers. And looks like TMC is on their way to be part of the NDA, not the BJP directly, though. What's the messaging that you get out of this?
One message is loud and clear, that this party is going to turn into a nameplate very soon, nothing more than that. As you just said a few minutes ago, that a few days ago, like ex-chief minister called a meeting of the MLAs. Now, having 80 MLAs in the bag, only 20 turned up. That's what I know. Now, the MLAs of her own party are not turning up. So, what does BJP have to do in this? So, this is surprising, but we knew that when this government is, out of the power, when this party will not be in the power, this is going to happen because, look, there is a basic difference where BJP is standing in power, in government, for so many years in the central government as well as in different state governments. That is, one is the ideology. Just ask any karyakarta or any party worker of TMC that what is the ideology that you follow? What is actually what you do for the people and what is the ideology you follow? Won't be able to answer anything. So this is the reason you see why They are not in power right now. It's splitting and breaking and trashing like anything. You
Subir
can't
Bhawmik,
even.
how would you respond to that, Subir Bhawmik?
But I'm fairly clear about one thing, This lady has been talking about conquering Delhi. That you drive me out of Bengal, I'll go and conquer in Delhi. It's like, the medieval ages, if some Rajput king who has lost his own fort in Chittor or Jaisalmer saying, I'll go and conquer Delhi and drive the Sultan out. This is absolute nonsense that she's talking. And I can't make any head and tail. Why the hell is she saying that? Because a regional leader, a regional party, essentially Trinamool is a regional party. They may tag on all India to suffix, put it in front of Trinamool Congress. But what all India? They can't, even a Bengali majority state like Tripura, they can't get one seat. So it's a Bengal-based party, let's face fact. Now, since it's a regional party, they have to do well in the region, in the state where they have held power. If they're out of power here and their house is falling apart like a house of cards, all this talk about, I'll storm Delhi, I'll go to Delhi, who is there to, listen to all these things? So at the moment, the crisis is very serious and it's at all levels. It's not just at the levels that you have been talking about, Sneha. It's not just, MLAs going away. It's not just MPs going away. At the grassroots level also. And Trinamool means grassroots. So Trinamool Congress, if the grassroots fall apart, if people, tend to sort of break away, form separate committees, that's where it is now going to, at the grassroots level. If the grassroots fall apart, then if Trinamool goes out of Trinamool, kya reh gaya? So I don't think there is much of a future for this party anyway. And at the end of the day, if people are putting together something like an India bloc, it's still work in progress, okay? There are people who are there. They are known parties, but, they don't have many states to themselves. So there is a point there.
Okay,
What are
okay.
these
Let me
regional?
just get in Nirmala Mukherjee to this. Nirmala Mukherjee, that's true. What's happening in TMC is at multiple levels, and you have some of the very strong men, and I'm using this word strong men of TMC, not as gender, gender neutral, but I literally mean it. Some of the very strong faces, the strong leaders, the TMC strong men are now leaving the party. Is this a point of no return for Mamata Banerjee? Because, her last words really in public were, I can build this from scratch again. But is this a no point of return in reality for Mamata Banerjee?
I think it's a no point of return. It's the end of road for her party, and for her career, which is already very old. She is above 70. Now,
Oh,
today
that's not
afternoon,
very old, sir. In Indian politics, for being a chief minister or for being a prime minister, that's not very old, sir.
no, why I said it, I'll tell it to you, because Trinamool emerged. Now, since it's the end of the road for Trinamool, for her career and for the party, so Trinamool emerged as a protest party in 2011. They were a protest bloc. So when they emerged, there was nobody to protest against. CPM had decayed, Congress was decaying. So Trinamool didn't have a real opposition in front. And Trinamool ruled for 15 years without a protest, unless BJP emerged as an opposition party, and by then they had already forgotten how to protest and fight. And they had become a ruler's party. So they were purely what we have seen in Indian politics. When a protest party, loses its voice, then gradually it converges into a publicity party. So these protest parties become publicity parties, and for that, just to stick on to the publicity, they start creating avenues like corruption, taking up money. Somehow they will have to remain in public with something or the other. And that is why Trinamool continued to decay. BJP emerged as a real opposition. in 2021. They dislodged Trinamool in 2026. I have said that umpteen times. Today afternoon, after Sukhendu Shekhar Rai resigned, I spoke to him for a very long time. He knows me for a very long time. So he said that now, Nirmallo, it will become an imaginary party like the imaginary INDIA bloc, this India bloc. So anybody going into the two imaginaries, when they are merging, it doesn't carry any meaning at all. And he said that the letter I wrote of resignation, that carries a very significant line, that it is on a people's mandate that I cannot remain in this party. He had already distanced himself from the party after this RG Kar case. Then gradually he was moving away. He was not taking any interest. There were personal problems also. So he was not very detailed into the party. Now the point is, these people, then what happens to BJP? BJP, out of 294 seats, if you consider the 70-60 MLAs that have gone to bloc to support NDA, it cannot happen that in Delhi they are supporting NDA bloc, and in Kolkata, in Bengal, they are not supporting NDA, because it is the same string on this side and that side. So BJP is now over 290. That is a massive amount. BJP-led NDA is leading in the history of Indian politics, and a party leading the state with a mandate of over 98%. Can you imagine what is happening? So why do we discuss? Discussing Mamata Banerjee will become irrelevant. And I don't think you'll be needing me in future, because when Mamata is gone, I don't know what will happen to me. So she has gone, and she has gone forever. In Bengal, one who leaves forever. CPM went away for long. Congress went
I think that's a very important point. That's a very important point that you're mentioning, not about what's going to be of your relevance. You are going to be relevant. A journalist is always a journalist. That's not what we're really talking about. But Subir Bhowmik, very quickly, if I can get you in again, talk to us about this. If anybody who's ousted, politically ousted from the Chief Minister and the government's position in West Bengal doesn't make a comeback. If that's the case, what does this mean even nationally for the India bloc?
Well, I'll tell you something, there is two sides to it. Bengalis have, in the past, given a very long time to everybody who has been in power. The Congress had nearly 30 years to themselves, barring a small period of United Front government in late 1960s. Then the left front had 34 years to themselves, and Mamata Banerjee 15 years. And this is precisely the reason why somebody who goes out does not come back. Because for the common man, we have given you long enough time, and if you have failed to prove yourself and deliver, you have no business to be back. So that's precisely the point, that people in Bengal, the political parties, get a very long rope. They get a very long time. They have got so far. 30, 34, 15, quite a long time. Now, the point here is that Nirmala was talking about the decay. Can you believe? I mean, we have seen even in our, media organizations, consultants come in. Consultants give a report pointing to some problems in the organization, then they pack up and leave. Here, she got IPAC to run an entire election machinery. I mean, if you call yourself Trinamool Congress, which means a grassroots party, and then you need Pratik Jain and his organization to run the election process for you, because you can't trust your own leaders, you can't trust your own grassroots. I mean, that's the level of decay.
Subir
I will just
but
give
when you talk about
comparison.
let's just face it, across party lines, there are people who are using such organizations. It's not just about TMC.
No, you can use them as consultants. They can point to some problems in the party, they can give you some suggestion, but they don't go and run the election process for the party. Here they were running the election process for the party. They were suggesting candidates, they were suggesting strategies, they were involved in day-to-day affairs. And this is precisely one of the huge reasons why a lot of people, including the leaders who are now breaking away, were pissed off. I'm sorry for using that language, But that's exactly the case.
Okay.
They're pissed off because they thought we have been in politics for 30 years, 35 years in Congress before coming to Trinamool, and this is what we are reduced to. iPad, and at the top of it sitting the prince in waiting, Mr. Abhishek Banerjee. I mean, what is his USP? So at the end of the day, this whole modern management culture, it does not quite work in Bengal. Bengal has its own long tradition of political management. The high point of that was the CPM, the way they ran the party organization. Somebody like Pramod Dasgupta created a state of art, political organization. Let me point out one quick thing here. There is a similarity on both sides of the border. You look at the Awami League, the party which led the liberation war for the country and all. Today they are out of power. They are unable to get their act together. Because like the Trinamool Congress, they have also been in power for 15 years now. And as they say in Bengali, chorbi jomeche, a lot of fat has gathered around the party's, body politic. And therefore, look at the Awami League today. I mean, they are facing a lot of oppression, but they're not able to get their act together.
Okay, I think you're making a stretch here. We will not get into that comparison at this point. But Joy Malik, I can see you smiling through this entire discussion. Quite obviously, everybody would understand why that is happening. But Joy Malik, is this really advantage BJP? I mean, a fair question. Is this really advantage? A weak opposition, is it really advantage BJP?
No, I'll tell you one thing. It's a really good question. Our state president, Samik Bhattacharya, has already told that having a good, proper opposition is also a good property of a good governance. Okay. And having a good opposition is also always welcomed. But unfortunately, we don't have a proper opposition also, because the day after day, what we see, this party is turning into grains. Now, see, 15 years, this party has got opportunity to serve the people. The one and only thing this party did is cut money. They should take commissions. If you want to build a house, you have to give commission. If you want to build a shop, you have to give commission. An industrialist, who is supposed to come, they have to pay bribes. Now see, there was no policy for people to invest. Now they were doing business summits. They were signing MOUs. What happened? 6,000 plus industries and companies went back. They left the state. So you are talking about employment. How will the employment get generated if there is no factories over here, no industries over here, and you are expecting employments? Now, if you come to the government employments, even in the government employments also, the TMC ministers and these MLAs, they took bribes like 7 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupees per candidate. Now see, they are on road now because the court has said that these are all illegal appointments. So you have left no stone unturned, and now the people of Bengal were obviously frustrated, starting from youth, the female candidates, voters.
No, it's interesting that you make the point about the opposition. Nirmala Mukherjee, my last 2 minutes to you, Nirmala Mukherjee. Sanjay Jha today in the Indian Express has written, in an interview, he has essentially said that the two parties that are responsible for the downfall of the India bloc, TMC and Aam Aadmi Party.
Yeah, I'll tell you, BJP in Bengal, I've always said, BJP is an agenda-driven party. So the lesser the opposition, the better it is for it. So it is an agenda-driven party in the sense they have a dream of creating Bengal into a Hindu homeland. How much they will achieve, that is for the future. But this dream of Hindu homeland becomes easier for BJP. As for the INDIA bloc, the India bloc, even though it's already fractured, DMK is gone out, TMC is finished. The Aam Aadmi Party is also not in a very strong position. So that is why what Mr. Roy told me today is that it's an imaginary bloc, and Trinamool will become an imaginary party.
Right.
So the point is, if a blind leads a blind, both fall into a ditch. That is what's happening.
Okay. I think that's where we end it at this point, because clearly that's where the direction is. That's where TMC clearly seems to be heading to at this point. How much of this will Mamata Banerjee be able to firefight is also really a story for another day. For now, there seems to be very little that she can do. Subir Bhaumik, Joy Malik, Nirmala Mukherjee, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.